important FA Cup final. And Hatchin! What a magnificent goal!
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sky Blue. I am me, Stuart Rendell, and I seem to have not very good connection, to be fair. Let me just close a few things down. Right, hope everybody's well. I hope everybody's ready for hopefully a good hour of lots of questions. Before we get into it, just to remind you, it is scrolling down the bottom where you can find us, available on X or Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Please go and like and subscribe where we are live now. Also, Instagram and Facebook. We are sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications. He can do your steel fabrication work up or down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. We're partnered with the Sky Blue Tavern and Dylan's Brewery, and we've also teamed up with this season with the Sports Social Podcast Network. So again, please go and like and subscribe. If you watch us on YouTube, please go and like and subscribe. And if you listen to us on a podcasts rather than watch us, please go and rate us 5 stars. So we have got a few questions coming in straight away. So thank you very much for that. So Glenn, the Sky Blue Hub on YouTube says, please make sure there's no background noise tonight. There isn't. The TV is off. I am at home, as you can see. I was meant to be at the Sky Blue Tavern. They have had a little bit of a leak in the manager's office where I was going to do it, and there was a dripping noise. So yeah, not the best to do it. So I decided to come home and hopefully that's a little bit better. So there's no background noise unless the dogs start barking, because the dogs are about somewhere. So they may start barking. So apologies if you hear them bark. Glenn's also said on Facebook, how's FPL going? Like every content creator, it's not started the best, but hopefully that will change. I'm doing okay, but hopefully that will change. I've got to look into it, to be fair, because I might use my wild card, but I've got a couple of weeks, so I'm not going to rush into anything just yet for FPL. Sky Blue Sam, which one player would you have liked to have joined who joined another championship club? Good question. Like that one. I'm going to put that one up. I like that. So Sky Blue Sam says, which one player would you have liked to have seen join who joined another championship club? That's difficult. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have liked Sheaf to have gone. Maybe I would like Sheaf to have stayed, I suppose. I understand why he's gone. But yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? You know, it's difficult to say whether it's been a good or a bad one yet. Mark Smith on Facebook said, are you happy with the transfer deadline? I think the jury's out. I think if we can perform to their level, and if people, and if players haven't broken down with injuries and we're not sort of depleted, then I think it's been a good window. I don't know what people are expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, in all honesty, because look, we've signed Kessler Hayden, Brow, obviously Wolfenden was on deadline day, which is a good signing. I feel that's a good signing. We've signed 4, haven't we? Oh, and Rushworth on loan. So I think it's been okay. Could have been better, probably. But we've got the stadium. I wasn't expecting, because we've got the stadium and with that outlay, I'm not sure I was expecting anybody else in, to be honest. Because I think that's, everybody was saying that that's a good transfer. If we make no other transfers, get in the stadium, is the best thing. So you can't have it both ways. I think in January and next summer, once we've had probably a full year of getting the all the revenue from Coventry and the exhibitions and the concerts, Tom Grennan was just there, so we're going to see the fruits of that. Next year might be slightly different. I think people might be happy in next year rather than this year. So I think we're going to have to wait and see on that one. Ben Watkin, thank you very much on YouTube. Thoughts on a possible free agent or agents signing, and if so, who? Well, the one that I've been screaming out for, I don't think he'll come, but it's Josh Brownhill. He's still available on a free as far as I'm aware. I know he's turned down a big money move to Birmingham. Leicester. My apologies. And I think Saudi are interested in him. So yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one, really, in terms of Brownhill. Is there anybody else? Maybe Bamford. Give Bamford a go, maybe. Let me see if my brightness can go up now. It's sort of full. It is getting a little bit dark in here, so apologies for that. Josh Brownhill. Give Bamford a go, maybe. But apart from that, I don't think there's anybody else particularly that I would want, really. I don't know. What about you guys? Who would you have wanted to see? Under average Cov fan, thank you very much on YouTube. What's the area you have the biggest concern over squad wise now? Probably still centre back for me. I would have liked two in all honesty. I know obviously the Hughes deal didn't go through for whatever reason. And I'm sure that they looked at others to try and come in, but they just couldn't get them over the line. Stuff happens, doesn't it? It's difficult sometimes. We don't know the whole background story of what's going on and what they're actually looking at. As far as we didn't get a loan in, maybe as well. Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to say, really. But look, we've started okay for the season. We're unbeaten. Yes, we probably should have beat Oxford. We should have beat Hull. But these are tough games. Obviously, the Hull one we were at home, so. But the Derby game we won away, and obviously we beat QPR convincingly. Like I've said before, we're not gonna play as well as we did against QPR, and we're not going to play as poorly as we did against Hull and Oxford, if you like. But I think we'll be okay. It's about consistency, and I think we're going to be consistent enough to do it so far. Which other Championship teams have impressed you so far? I probably hate to say it, but I think Stoke have done quite well so far. I think they've lost one now. But I like Sorba Thomas. I think he was a good player. I think we tried when Robbins was with us. I think he tried to get him, but didn't for whatever reason. So yeah, I do like what Mark Robbins is doing at Stoke. It's just sod's law that he has a good start to the season, just as much as we do, really. So, Mark Smith on Facebook, did you tune in for the transfer chat with me and Danny and Cameron? I didn't. I've seen it on YouTube. I didn't tune in. I was out for a birthday meal with friends. So my apologies for that. Danny White on YouTube. Thank you very much, Danny. Haven't heard from you in a while. Hope you're well. What on earth happened on deadline day? Went from 2 to 3 to 1 player. Lampard won't be happy. Again, we're kind of speculating with what Lampard is and isn't happy about, really. I'm sure he would have wanted to bring more in. I'm sure Doug would have wanted to bring more in. And for whatever reason, it just didn't get over the line. Again, we don't know. We don't know what they were asking. We don't know what wages they were asking. We don't know what we could go up to because of potential PSR. I still don't think that we'll see the fruits of owning the CBS until probably January to next year. I think next year will be a pivotal year because If Rudoni has another great season, Rudoni is going to be wanted. Same with Hadji, same with Milan. Look, we've managed to keep Milan, Rudy and Hadji as well. So it can't be all bad. You know, the one that surprised for me actually was Rodriguez going out on loan to Wigan on deadline day. Not quite sure why. I thought he did okay against Luton. I know they were a League One side and made changes, but I thought he did okay. I thought he could have just added to that. But look, Lampard obviously knows what he wants to see. Give him more guaranteed game time at Wigan. You know, just like when we look at players from, you know, loan players, we're going to be doing exactly the same. We're sending him to Wigan to play games. So he's going to play games. You know, just like Premier League clubs want us to play them. If we can't guarantee it, then they're not going to send them. So we're not going to send our players out if they're not going to be guaranteed game time. So as long as he's doing what he needs to do, I'm sure he'll play. And again, it's good for Cameron on our X space on 9 o'clock on Sunday nights to do our loan watch. So yeah, so there'll be a few games that I would imagine on Sunday that we'll be talking about as well. Glenn, Sky Blue Hub, thank you very much. I'd like us to bring Josh De Silva in from Brentford as a free agent. Yeah, that's not too bad. Under average Cov fan going Leicester away. I'm not. At the minute, I'm struggling to go to away games for certain personal reasons. I won't divulge anything just yet. That might come up maybe next year with what I'm doing and what I've been doing. Danny White, thank you very much again. First 11, a few subs, it's okay. Lose any major players and we will struggle. Yeah, we've just got to hope that the players that come in that are on the fringes, like your Sims, like your Eccles, Allen, Kai Andrews, they've got to take their opportunities when they come in, really. You know, we've still got Tats to come in. Brow can play on the left-hand wing if needed, I suppose. We've still got Bidwell as well. So you never know. Look, there might be a few, you know, free agents like Josh De Silva, you know, like Brownhill, hopefully. You know, if we ever got Brownhill, you know, losing Sheaf isn't necessarily the worst, is it? But it just looks bad at the moment because we've just let a midfielder go and we've got no cover. So it doesn't look great. Sky Blue Sam, who plays as our central defensive pairing versus Norwich? I think initially, it's still got to be Kitchen and Thomas. Kitchen and Thomas. But I think Wolfington's going to be breathing down their necks to be playing. So you might see him come on with 20 minutes to get a run out. Or if he does that, you know, look, if he does that well in training, he might start him. To be fair, I'm not sure, right, where Wolfington actually plays, which side. Maybe somebody can tell me. Which side does Wolfington play on? Is it the left or is it the right? Or can he play both? Because we know that Lampard likes a bit of stability on both them sides. Mark says, how many points out of Norwich, Leicester and Blues? Look, I think Norwich is going to be a difficult game. They've still got Sargent, still got Nunes, so I think that's going to be a difficult game. Leicester, I think we can do Leicester. I think they're in a bit of turmoil at the moment. They're a bit of an up and down side, so we may. I think we can beat Leicester. So obviously, I want us to beat Blues. They have got a good side. We have got to be careful. Out of the 3 games, I think I'd be. Would I? I don't know. A win and 2 draws. You know, 5, 6 points. I'd probably be happy to take out of that. Maybe. Ben Watkins says, thoughts on our away ticket prices? Lots of negative comments from Blues fans. Yeah, £45 for me is probably a bit steep, because I would imagine that they'll replicate that price, won't they, for us? And I'm sure that we'll be up in arms if they do. So, yeah, 45 a little bit steep, but ultimately that's what he wants to charge them. So let's get the money in while we can. It's going to be a Class A. It's going to be Category A game, if you like, being a derby. So, yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it is steep. It is expensive. I get it. Danny White, thank you very much again. Not replacing Sheaf was criminal. Few injuries, and then it's Eccles and Allen. Lose Hadji, and it's Sims. Defence now looks okay. Rest is very lightweight. Yeah, I do get it. Look, Asante can play down the middle if we needed as well. Asante's playing okay on that right-hand side. I can actually see Latta being played in midfield a little bit more, which is what I've wanted anyway. Maybe Latta comes in ahead of Eccles and Allen. Maybe that's why he got rid of Sheaf, because it was a lot. That was good money, I think, that we got for Sheaf. $6.5 million for an injury-prone player. And I know people will argue, well, he's not that injury-prone. It feels like he is. When you look at Grimes, that is ever present, even when he gets a gash down his leg or, cuts his head. He very rarely, touch wood, sort of goes off injured or is not available. So he's going to be always there. Just got to hope it's Torp and Radoni really for me, because they're the ones that can sometimes, not necessarily Radoni, but Torp can break down, because then you are bringing in Eccles, Allen, Kai Andrews potentially. But I can see, maybe Latta sitting in deeper, playing the Grimes' position, if you like, and playing maybe Grimes a little bit further forward. Who knows? I get your point though, Danny. I get your point. Ben, will we see price drop now we own the CBS next season? No, I don't think so, because it's all about we've got to get money in. We own the CBS, so that's good. But I think it should. I think it should stay the same. Personally, that's my personal view. Joshua James, thank you very much, Josh. Any free agents at this point are free agents for a reason. Yeah, I kind of get that point as well. But you look at Josh Brownhill. Josh Brownhill is only a free agent because he probably wants too much money, not because he's a bad player. Josh De Silva, I think he's got, he has had his injuries at Brentford. So I think he might be a little bit more of a liability in terms of breaking down. But if you've got cover, if you don't have to play him each and every week and your normal 11 is, then it might give him time. Danny White, yeah, Brownhill turned down 100k a week at Leicester. We have no chance. I agree. I completely agree. But he might want to play for a Lampard. We don't know. I think if we don't try, to be fair, look, Saudi, I think, have offered him I think about like 300k a week. You're not going to turn down that sort of money. So we will probably end up in Saudi. But at the moment, he isn't. He's still available. So I think not to have spoken with him, I think it's a bit silly, really, because he might fancy playing for Lampard. We don't know. We don't know what, floats his boat, do we? But I think you're right. I don't think we get him. Shane Darlow on Facebook, thank you very much. He turned down 100k apparently. Yeah. Paul GC Dunn, thank you very much on Facebook. Very would be exactly what we need as a finisher. Oh, Vardy, you mean, mate? Yes. Yeah, but he's gone to Cremonese, I think, hasn't he, or somewhere like that. But yeah, I wouldn't have turned down Vardy, but Vardy would never have come because of the Leicester, being a Leicester hero. Mark Smith, I wanted Callum Doyle. Yeah, I know you meant Vardy. Paul, thank you very much. Same dialogue. My biggest concern is midfield now. My lights, come on. Thank you very much. My biggest concern is midfield cover. Yeah, but again, I think once everybody's back and fit, at the moment we don't have to rush anybody back, so that's okay. But yeah, I get your point, Shane. Hector, good evening all. Good evening, Hector. Thank you very much. Hector also says depth is clearly the main concern. Glenn says Vardy would demand big wages and off to Serie A. Yeah. Losing Norman, Raphael were both strange. We need numbers. He also says the way the season has started, we have a great chance for top 6 again. Glenn says, heard we had 2 of the deals lined up, but they collapsed on the day. Russ says, press forward, automatics in my mind. Mark says, are you concerned with the amount of goals conceded by set pieces? Yes, but I would like to think that we will learn kind of as we go along, to be fair. But we'll have to wait and see. Mark Smith says, right-hand side, he thinks for Wolfie. Okay. I don't see it being Kitchen and Wolfie. I see it more Thomas and Wolfie. But as Danny's just said, I think we may use a back 3 this season, especially when Latty returns. I think you're quite right. I think this gives us an option to play 3 at the back with Wolfenden coming in, because he could be, if you like, he could be the Fads. I don't think Kitchen and Thomas are particularly quick. I think they cover the ground well, but they're not overly quick. So a quick striker getting in between the 3 of them might cause us problems. I still want to see us in a back 4, but I can see him using a back 3. Are we concerned by Frank's spiky interviews recently? Seems to not like tough questions. I just think that I just think it's the way Lampard is. Sometimes you'll get him on a good day. Sometimes you'll get him on a bad day if he hasn't seen something particularly. I don't think we need to read anything into it too much, if I'm honest. I think Robbins could have been like that, really. I think sometimes he could be a little bit funny. Glenn Skyber, aim is to go unbeaten for as long as we can. Yes, but if you've drawn 5 games on the trot, you've only got 5 points. So you've got to start turning them draws into wins if you can. But yeah, look, I get your point. I get your point. We can only play what's in front of us on the day, and we've just got to be consistent. And our consistency has got to get better, granted. But we've seen the level that we can get to, which was the QPR game. But we, like I said, with the consistency has got to be like the QPR. That's our bar. That's our target. Anything less than that, and we're going to see it as a bad day. We got a point away. As I've always said, if you win your home games and draw your away games, you'll be somewhere close. And if we can turn a few of them draws into wins, or a few of them, them losses, or if we're losing a game, if we can turn it into a draw, then, that's a good thing, I think. And I think that's progression. It's turning the potential losses into draws and the potential draws into wins. And we'll be. I think we'll be okay. Sky Blue Sam, is Vic in your FPL team yet? He was in from day 1, is the honest answer. How long he stays there, not sure. But yeah, he was in my team. Danny White also says, Sargent away with the US with lots of travelling and won't return until Thursday next week. Then he has to travel to us on the Saturday. This could work in our advantage. Yes, but when you've seen Latty go away with Jamaica, he comes in, and I think one game he scored a goal. I can't remember who against. It might have been Watford, I think, possibly away. So I don't necessarily take all that into consideration. But yeah, I get your point. You know, especially if he plays is it 2 games that they've got, or the game that they've got. Danny White says 6.5 million was great for Sheaf. The issue is no cover. Yeah, I get your point completely. Should we have been in for Hyam? No, I don't. I don't like going. I don't like looking back, and I feel that was. I feel that would have been looking back if we went for somebody like Hyam. I like Hyam. Don't get me wrong. He was a great servant, but I don't like looking back. I prefer to move forward and look for new players. Mark Smith said the sale of Sheaf good for all parties. Yep, totally agree. Shane says, I think we will see Brow and KHH playing wingers this season with Raphael gone and not wanting to put Hadji on the right. Yeah, I could see that, definitely. Hector says 6.5 million was good money for Sheaf. If he isn't going to sign a new deal, our model is to sell to make money. Completely. Totally agree with that. Ben Watkins said, biggest disappointment in the Championship so far. Biggest disappointment so far. I'm going to say our set pieces. I think they've been the biggest disappointment so far for us. Because if we can be stronger at set pieces, then we beat Oxford, and we probably who did we lose in the cup to? Oh God, that's gone out of my head now. Who did we lose in the cup to, please, guys? Please tell me, because I can't remember. It's gone out of my head. I was there as well. People left on deadline day. Sorry, some free agents have done pre-season with either PFA or a club before leaving. People left on deadline day. Dele Alli, for example. Yeah, Dele Alli, I'm not sure about. I think he may have had his day. Ben Watkin, I like free agent Jaden Braff, winger, ex-Man City, Dortmund. Okay, not heard of him. Dave Rendell, good evening, Dave. My opinion, our bench has gone from A to C. Evening, mate. Good evening, Dave. I hope you're well. Yeah, I get your point, but again, I think with Latty coming back, with Eccles coming back, like I said, I can see Latty playing more in midfield. I know people don't like him, and I'm probably the only one that does quite like him. But look, we've got to see where we are see where we are come January, and we've got 5 months of money coming in. Will be a different proposition, I think, in January, and then next summer. I hate to say it. Look, next summer, it's awful. It's shit, and I don't like it. But I think with owning the CBS now, it is going to take time to see that money come in, and I think next year it will be different, especially if we haven't gone up. Tynan Burke, hi Tynan on Facebook, thank you very much. Do you foresee investment in the team in January window if we're within touching distance of the playoffs? Again, that's a little bit. It's hard to judge. You know, we bought Grimes in January, which was a brilliant signing. If we bring another couple of them types in January, you know, it's a difference. I think that's the difference. But we can't do what Hull tried to do a couple of years ago when Rossini was in charge. Because if you try and overspend and try and really push for it, and you don't get there, you know, you're gonna be stuck. You're gonna be in trouble. You look at Wrexham and Birmingham and the amount of money that they've spent. Yes, I know that they've got deals galore and they're turning over X amount of money, which is brilliant for them. But they've spent like 33 million right? I'm sure that they're going to be close to PSR. I'm sure they will be. If they have to spend that again. So if they don't make it and they've got to spend another 30 million, that's when the issues start coming in. If you don't make it and you try pushing, I think the way that we're doing it, yes, it's frustrating because we just think it's slow. Again, we've only got one loan signing in. I think other teams have maybe got 2 or 3. I don't know the actual numbers, to be fair. That might be good to have a look. But yeah, I think they will invest in January because we're going to have more money. But how much they invest, I don't know. Glenn says, we have an option now for every position, and in some positions 3. Just probably lack of depth, but the quality improved overall. I agree. Glenn also says Thomas gets benched for Norwich. He was poor recently. Yeah, I think that. Excuse me. I think that silly booking didn't help him. Really. Glenn says the only issue for Wolf only has 90 minutes under his belt this season, and that would be a month ago in the Norwich game. Yeah, Robbo, thank you very much on YouTube. I'm fed up with all these so-called Cov fans who moan and complain at anything and everything. We will finish top 2 with the squad we have. PUSB. Love it. Thank you very much, Rob, for your comment. Mark Smith says, can we get top 6 this season? Yes. Yeah, we can. Danny says, biggest disappointment club-wise is Sheffield United. And it's great to see. I do agree with you. The only thing that would put the icing on the cake is if Wilder was still in charge of Sheffield United and they were still in this position. That would be good. Glenn says, Millwall and Ipswich. What about them? Have you asked me something else that I've missed? Millwall and Ipswich. What about Millwall and Ipswich, Glenn? Robbo says, we don't need to replace Sheaf because he's always injured. Easiest 6.5 cash ever earned. I prefer Allen over Sheaf anyway. Wrexham won't see much of Sheaf as he'll be injured quickly. Possibly. Does the form of Rushworth concern you, and will he recover? Yeah, I do. I think, I know he's had a couple of bad games. Hull, he played well in. So yeah, I think he's a good goalkeeper, and I think he will be fine. I know he's had a little bit of an issue at the moment, but I think he's confident enough in himself. Kev Patty, thank you very much, Kev. Millwall, he says. Danny says, 20 games until the window opens. We just need to stay in the top 6 and kick on in Jan. Yeah, I agree. He also says, can see Dean Austin getting the boot soon. We seem to get bids rejected left, right and centre. Again, we don't know what's going on, so that could be an issue. So you never know. Sky Blue Army, thank you very much on YouTube. We must have the most fickle fans. We have had it good for the last few years. We have a decent owner. We have our own ground, and yet all doom and gloom. Go support another club. Oh, dear. Danny White on YouTube also says, seems to be our main targets are high quality, which leaves us empty-handed when we keep pursuing them without success. Same happened with Stamich last season. Do we need to look for realistic targets? Look, I think at any club, you always have your top ones, your next ones, and your next ones, and you go down that list. People were moaning last year, well, not last year, maybe the year before, because we went for Brad Collins and we went for League One. And people were saying, well, when you go for League One players, you're only going to end up one place, and that's League One. We're aiming for Premier League, so we've been going for Premier League players. If we don't get these Premier League players, then do you want us to go back down to League One players? Not really, because, like you said, that's where you end up, and that's why people moan, because you're just aiming for them, you know, and it's difficult. It's a difficult period. I don't like the loan signings necessarily, but I think to bulk the side out, I think loan signings are a good thing. You haven't got to have 7 or 8, but 2 or 3 maybe, you know, in different areas of the field where they probably will get a game. But you've got to make sure they're the right quality, because, again, you don't want just any old rubbish coming in. You know, people will argue, Glenn will argue with me on this one. Norton Cuffy. I didn't particularly like him. I thought he had a few good games and he was good in spells, but he didn't grow up any trees. If we got Cuffy in now as a loan signing just for the sake of it, I don't see any point, you know. Or who was on Esbrand, you know, Esbrand as well. I want us to have loan signings that are actually going to do something. Glenn on Facebook just said Brooke Norton Cuffy is a great player. He isn't great. I'll go with good, but he isn't great. Danny says Sheaf still plays 75% of games every season for us. We lose Grimes, we are shafted. Grimes hardly misses a game, but anything can happen in football. We should never be in this position again. Well, right, so you saying Sheaf, Danny, only plays 70. You moaned last season that we need to sell Ben Sheaf because he missed 3/4 of the season. You can't have it both ways. You can't bring that into your argument when I know that you slated him for being out as well. So you've got to sit on one side of the fence. Don't be Mark and sit on the fence. You know, you either rate him and say that he plays most of the season, or you don't and he misses most of the season. And for me, he missed most of the season, or he was out for a large percentage of it. And I still think that it's a good deal. I really do. He's a Euros winner. He might be a Euros winner. Doesn't mean to say that he's great. Wes Handy, thank you very much. Wes on YouTube. Dele Alli, what's your thoughts of bringing him in? No, I don't particularly want to. Not Dele Alli. For the money it's going to cost, I would rather go for, I don't know. I want Josh Brownhill, right? Again, I'm going to say it again. I know there's no way that we're going to get him and blah, blah, blah. But I want Josh Brownhill. He makes the difference. He makes you he keeps you either top 6 or he makes you into that top 2 for me. I think is that good. And I think he'd be perfect for us. But yeah. I've missed one here. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Where is it? Oh. Mark Smith, do you think it's a great opportunity for Andrews to earn a permanent place in this team? Yes, I do. But he has to play better than what he did against whoever we lost to. I can't remember. Did someone say... Oh, Millwall. Yeah, Millwall. Sorry, yes, Millwall. That was what the Millwall Ipswich thing. Yeah, thank you. Sky Blue Army. Sheaf has been poor for most of the games he played in. He looked disinterested. Glad he's gone. I'm not glad he's gone because I think, you know, if Grimes is injured, I think Sheaf is your perfect replacement. I don't think they work together quite well as a 2. I'd like Tom Lawrence as a free agent as well. I'd take Tom Lawrence. Yeah, I'd take Tom Lawrence because I think he can play in Radoni or Torp's position. That's not a bad shout, to be fair. I did forget about Tom Lawrence. Danny says, Esbrand was Robin's target. Austin said at King's presser in November, Robbins never played him. You said plated him, but I knew you meant played him. That's my 2 ins, Joshua De Silva and Tom Lawrence on frees. Not bad, okay. So we can win games. So we can win games with injuries. Yeah. Mark Smith, I don't think I've been too much of a fence sitter this season so far. Our first 11 can compete with any side in this league without injuries. I'm being positive. Good lad, Danny. That's what I like to hear from you. I like to see a positive Danny, because he's negative most of the time. I love you, Danny. So yeah. But yeah, look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think next season, I think will be the season that we may spend a bit more money, just because I think we'll be able to, with having a year of owning the CBS under our belts as well. What will happen first? Mark moves to rugby finally, or Cov lose a league game? Oh, you've got to say what will happen first. Mark moves to rugby. I don't want us to lose a game, so it's got to be Mark moves to rugby. Mark says, surprisingly, I'm going for a draw, however, for the Norwich game. Okay, fair enough. Well, obviously, we'll discuss that on Sunday night at 9 o'clock on our Twitter space. So please join us there. Wes says, I still think our centre-backs are weak. Thomas and Kitchen are mid-table championship players. We needed 2 in, not just 1. I agree. I think we needed 2 in as well. I don't think they're mid-table because we finished top 6 with them 2 last year. But I think that they need competition, and 2 people would have been better than 1. But we've got 1 in. One of their places is up for grabs, so they've both got to play to their best of ability and not make mistakes, because if they do, one of them's going to be out. And I would imagine, if I'm honest, that might even be Thomas, because when Kitchen plays, Kitchen is captain. Funny enough, we haven't heard Lampard come out, unless I've missed it. Has he said who the new captain's going forward be? Obviously, Kitchen's been taking the armband, but he might go with Grimes. I haven't heard anything. Selling Binks was a big mistake for me. He would have been a great player given more game time. Maybe. Martin Bissell, thank you very much. Do you think Doug will be more active in the January transfer window when he sees where we are in the league? Potentially, yeah. I think that might come into play as well. I think he'll see where we are. And hopefully we can get a Grimes-type player in, or maybe even go in for a striker, possibly, depending on, who's available and what's doing what. If Sims is a patchy player, but he could come into a little bit of form, if Haji Wright is a little bit out of it and stuff like that. So we don't know. We know Sims can score goals. We know he can. We've just got to get him on a little bit of a roll. But it's Hadji's to lose at the minute. I thought he did okay against Oxford, to be fair. It was a weird game because everybody got caught offside a lot. So yeah, it was a weird game. Loads of people got caught offside, both sides really. Wes says, I think get that lad from Arsenal in January. Heard his average. Are you on about, is it Doman? Is it Doman? Alex Doman or something like that? I don't think he'll be available for loan. I think they see him as a first teamer. Vic. Oh, he means Big Vic. Jokeres. Sorry, mate. I thought you meant Alex Doman. I'm sure it's Alex Doman, the midfielder, who I thought you meant the 15-year-old. I didn't realise you were being facetious. Sorry, I'm with you now. Well, look, you never know. If he falls out of favour. Who, me? Never, mate. Yes, you, Wes. Excuse me 1 minute, guys, just while I take my jumper off. It's got a bit warm in here now. Oh. Oh. Excuse me. Tynan says Sims needs Sims needs early crosses from non-inverted wingers. He doesn't work with Tatsu and EMC. Seem to have a developing relationship with Rafa, though. Yeah, I think more with Mason Clark, because Tats can swing on his with his right foot being on that right hand side. I think it is more Mason Clark on that left that likes to come inside. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Mark Smith, any ex-player guests coming up on at All Things Sky Blue? There are some in the making, I believe, but we're just going to have to wait. Our sponsor has just commented, Lloyd Wright. Thank you very much, Lloyd, for being our sponsor this season again. Much appreciated. He said Hadji has a World Cup place to get this season, so his confidence coming into the game is going to be massive this season, and he'll only want to play as a striker this season to get his stats up. Totally agree as well. Thank you very much. Wes Handy says, start taking his top off. Everyone humming the full Monty theme. Thank you very much. Mark says, ha ha ha, Wes. Glenn says, maybe Sims is an option wide left. No, don't see it in the slightest. I'd rather have Brow or De Silva on the left. Or look, Kai Andrews has, played there a little bit as well. Maybe that's an option for him to take players on. But look, even Sakamoto on that left-hand side, he can swing with both corners, both sides. Sakamoto on the left, Asante on the right. Maybe. How many points are we aiming for after 23 games? Oh my God! After 20, I don't know. However many we need to stay in the top 6. Wes says, pin this post, Brow will be best new player this season. Wow, that's a good one. Before we can bring people for fees. Mark said 39 to 40. Danny says 48, 2 points a game. Mark says 39 to 40 after 23 games. So New Year's Day. Glenn says, I think Frank will aim for 46, 2 points a game. Wes says 41. Any others? Right, so what happens? Obviously, I don't want this to happen, but what happens if after what, 23 games, have you said? After 23 games, we have 23 points. What happens to Lampard? Tell me that. Does he stay? Because ultimately, that's one of the reasons why Mark Robins left or was sacked and not left. Because that's what we were aiming for. What happens if that happens to Lampard? Do we think that he's gone? Dave says Kessler Hayden can play further forward if needed. Yeah, that's a good option as well. I think you could even swap the two, play Kessler Hayden right back and play Milan further forward. I think Kessler Hayden is better defensively than Milan. Milan's speed makes up for a lot of errors, but I actually think defensive knowledge, I think Kessler Hayden is better. Glenn says, sack the clown. Mark says, news headlines, if that happens, is silence of the lamps. Good evening, David. Thank you very much. I'm not going to pronounce your surname, so I apologise. I'm just going to say David Granigan. Evening, pal. Evening. Thank you very much on Facebook for joining. Much appreciated. Excuse me. Let's hope we don't have too many injuries. Well, touch wood. Touch wood, we've been okay this season. Yeah, touch wood, we've been okay this season so far. I can't... look, hopefully Grimes continues his... Close enough. Thank you very much. Cheers, David. Thank you, mate. I apologise if I've absolutely battered that surname of yours. David G, I'll call you. David G. Glenn says, in all seriousness, we should win 10 games at least before FA Cup third round. Apart from De Silva. What's the one thing you would change with the ground now we have ownership? Wow, good question. Good question. I don't know, you know. I don't know without seriously thinking of it. I think if I'm honest, my day, you know, in a league game, my day is generally quite hassle-free and it's quite good. I like the people around me in my seat. Yes, sorry. Yeah, go on. I'll give you that, Mark. Mark's just said improve the Wi-Fi as it's non-existent. Yeah, that's one thing that I will say is improve the Wi-Fi. I'll give you that one. Danny says Lampard has a year left after this season. Personally feel it's his last season before he moves on to a bigger club. This is why I can't understand why we haven't backed him enough. Only signed 4. Mark also, Dave says Mark Smith, I'd move the cameras to the other side like now, but not possible, I guess. Yeah, is that so we can get Singer's Corner in? Is that what you'd do? Is that the other way that you'd have? Glenn says, got Charlton twice, Sheffield Wednesday, Watford, Blackburn, Bristol City, Preston to play in the run. Getting these coming through quite quick now. Excuse me 1 second while I go back. To play the run till the FA Cup third round. Yeah, okay. Anyone know if the ground can be extended and if so, by what capacity? Not sure. At least we signed Ed Sheeran on a concert deal today. Can he play in midfield? I don't think he can. David G said sound system and light show. Glenn says, I move seats for QPR game. Should I stay in those seats for Norwich or move back to my actual ones? It depends. Did you like the view, Glenn, from where you were for the QPR game? They did improve it. Just remembered you have 25,000 people all trying to use the Wi-Fi at the same time. Get the pom girls back out on the pitch. Bring back sky blue bells. Mark Smith says another option is to move the Fraser group signs. Yeah, I think that will be done in due course. I think. So yeah, How long have we been going for? Wow, 55 minutes. That's gone fast. Glenn says Wi-Fi is awful at Premier League grounds. Okay. Danny White says, bring back Sonia on the pitch at half time. Glenn says, are you watching England at the weekend? No, is the honest answer. I've got better things to do. Should we do an All Things Sky Blue Christmas do this year? We can certainly try. Wes says, what about naming each stand after ex-players or commentary related? Yes, I like that idea, Wes. I've thought that myself, to be fair. John and Curtis stand, for instance. Jimmy Hill stand. And maybe, I don't know. When Mark Robbins passes, there might be a Mark Robbins stand or something like that. Not while he's still managing other clubs, but once he's finished managing, I'm sure he should be marked somewhere because he is a monumental person in terms of Coventry City. So yeah. Yes, Stu, also new tannoy system. Martin Bissell, surely if Frank got us promoted, Doug would offer him a new contract. You'd like to think that he's going to be offered a new contract with a year to go. They're not going to leave it to the last minute. Cov Norwich 1-1. Dave's laughing at that one. Where's the 87 stand, Jimmy Hill stand, Godiva stand, road closure stand? I like it. I like that one. I'll bring the flag to Dylan's next Saturday. I will message Glenn, because I know you do keep on about that one. So I will message. Mark says Mark Robbins stand. I think eventually there should be, but like I said before, while he's managing a different club and while he's managing, it will be a no from me. But once he has retired from managing, then yes, Mark Robbins stand mode, definitely. I'd be happy with that. Hector, if we beat Norwich, that sets up for Leicester and Birmingham nicely. It does indeed, Hector. I still think we beat Leicester. Birmingham's the one that I'm more worried about. I do think that we beat Leicester, though. I just think if we turn up against Leicester, we'll be fine. Glenn says, cool. He also says, got to be Jimmy Hill, George Curtis, and John Sillett stand. Curtis and Sillett stand. I think that should be one stand. They shouldn't be separate because they were always together. So it's got to be the George Curtis and John Sillett stand. Is that what you mean? Do you mean one stand or do you mean two? Mark Smith, Danny on the fence with me then. Danny White, draw v Norwich, lose Leicester and beat Blues. I'm going to say draw against Norwich, beat Leicester and draw against Blues. I'd like to think that we would beat Norwich. So 5 to 7 points for me. We owe Norwich one for their place last season. We owe them one because we should have won that day. Still makes me sick now, to be fair. Wes says the matchday experience at the CBS has improved so much over the last 2-3 years. So hats off to Doug for that. Yeah, totally agree. Dave G says, win against them all, no worries. I like your confidence, David. Thank you very much. Okay, we've gone to the hour mark. So thank you very much for that. Is there any other questions or shout outs that you want me to do before I finish the stream? I'm also thinking, what does people, would people watch a watch along if I did a watch along live on YouTube to a COV game? Obviously, it would be an away game because I'd be there. Thank you very much, Danny. But would people watch a watch along? 60 minutes in, 20 more minutes, and Frank will bring on a sub. Oh, Wes, you make me laugh. Glenn says yes, probably. He also says be a good laugh. Hector said 100%. We're going up autos as long as we keep players fit and we bring more in January, says David G. Dave Rendell, Glenn, Mark, Danny, would you watch a watch along? See you soon, mate. Might be Norwich as your dad is coming with me, Jen, and Brad is. Brad is in America. Oh, nice. Oh, that's good. Well, come to Dylan's then, Dave. Instead of going where you normally go, come to Dylan's. Why not do a watch along from a pub? Be a little bit too noisy. You wouldn't be able to hear my reactions and stuff. That's the only thing. Mark Goldbridge gets a lot of clicks reacting to Man United conceding goals. Hashtag watch along. Yeah, Adam Smith. Hi, Adam. You okay, mate? Hope you're well. You back off holiday now? I saw you were on holiday on Facebook and stuff. Hope you had a nice time. Is there anybody else that wants to comment on the watch along? Would you watch it? There's a few. Danny says yes. Stuart crying when Latty gets subbed. That's something to watch, I suppose. Do you think that Doug fattened the goose and sold the club? I don't think he sells. Thanks. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Adam. Much appreciated. Stuart ranting when Wright doesn't track back again. Yeah, that's definitely could happen. If people are interested in it, then I might set it up and I might do it. Not sure what game yet. But it might be later on in the season, but I will keep asking, and I might do it if people are interested. Thank you very much, Mark. So on that note, then, guys, please remember where you can find us. We are available on X or Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, also YouTube. I might put a poll up actually on Facebook and X. We now own the ground, and I think there would be plenty of buyers for the club. Yeah, possibly. We are sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications. His logo is in the corner, by the way, just there. I've got to try and get it. I can't get it. Just there. Anyway, he can do steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. We are partnered with the Sky Blue Tavern and Dylan's Brewery, and we're also teamed up with the Sports Social Network. If you listen to us on a podcast, please go and rate us 5 stars. But again, if you do watch us, if you do like watching us on YouTube with everything that we do, please go and rate us 5 stars. We have got Norwich preview coming up shortly next week, so look out for that. And for the Leicester preview and for the Birmingham preview, me and Mark are going to be doing it live, so you can get your questions in direct to the guests on that one. So on that note, once again, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate everybody. There's so many that's commented and made a comment, which is great. Thank you very much for watching and listening and bringing in your comments. So thank you to everyone. I'm not going to go through all the names because there's loads, but much appreciated, everybody. And good night. Play up Sky Blues.